Today we're diving into the epitome of Korean cuisine, kimchi. While crafting this iconic dish is a day-long process, the investment of time pays off, particularly if you're a fan of this Korean staple. Making kimchi at home not only offers potential savings, but also ensures a more nutritious outcome. And with that, let's delve into the laborious but worthwhile dish. So, how much kimchi you really make really depends on how much you love eating it. Sometimes we go all out with huge batches, and other times it's just a couple of cabbage heads. For today, let's keep it very simple. I'll use one Napa cabbage as a baseline so that you can adjust the ratios easily. To get started, cut it into quarters by slicing it in half and then half again. Just run the knife down the core and you're good to go. After quartering the Napa cabbage, proceed to cut the quarters into bite-sized chunks. I usually go for pieces that are a tad under 2 inches or approximately 5 centimeters in length, but feel free to adjust it based on your preference. Once you have chopped the cabbage into bite-sized chunks, give it a good soak in cold water. This will be one of the many cleaning steps for the cabbage so that we can get rid of all the dirt and unwanted bits. In a separate bowl, sprinkle in 1/4 cup of salt, ensuring an even spread across the bottom. Take the chopped cabbage you've submerged and transfer it into the salted bowl. This marks the beginning of extracting water from the cabbage. The brining step not only aids in enhancing the penetration of seasonings into the kimchi, but also, in the olden times before refrigerators, served as a method to better preserve the food. Lastly, sprinkle an additional 1/4 cup of salt on top of the bowl. Allow this mixture to sit for 30 minutes. During those 30 minutes, we need to prepare a couple more ingredients. Grab a pot and add a generous tablespoon of sweet rice powder. Pour in about a cup of water and whisk until everything is dissolved. Over low heat, stir the sweet rice powder until it takes on a somewhat suspicious appearance. The primary goal here is to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pot and burning. You don't have to whisk it as vigorously as I did, but hey, if you're keeping an eye on the pot, might as well give it a good whisk. Once the sweet rice powder has become viscously thick, turn off the heat and leave it on to cool. While it's cooling, get half a radish ready. While it's not a common addition to kimchi, I've always had radishes in mine since childhood, so I'm going to include them. After cutting, rinse the radish under cold water. Focus on scrubbing off any dirt or impurities. If you have a mandolin, great. If not, no worries, just use a knife. The objective here is to slice the radishes into long slivers, not cubes like gakbugi, but nice elongated pieces. After cutting the radishes into long slivers, place them into a separate bowl. Next, add 3 tablespoons of Korean red pepper flakes. Then add 3 tablespoons of corn syrup. And with that, mix the radishes so that it turns into a bright red color. Now put that aside and go back to the large bowl with your cabbage. Give the chopped cabbage a good stir and you'll notice water starting to seep out, a sign that the brining process is in motion. However, we're not quite done yet. In fact, you'll need to let the cabbage sit for 8 hours. Traditionally, it's 12, but let's be realistic, who has time for that nowadays? But yeah, cover the pot. I do it with the cutting board I used. The purpose of this step is so that no dust or any other particulates fall into it during the 8 hours. Now, you might be thinking, damn, this is going to take forever, but trust me, it's worth it, especially if you're not living in Korea where they have a good selection of pre-made kimchi. After 8 hours, check if the cabbage has been extracted of all its water. A good indicator is if the radish has become bendy. That's a sign it's ready. Once nice and bendy, go ahead and strain the brined radishes. Usually a strainer is likely the most straightforward method for this task, but you can always just use your hands. After straining the dirty salty water, proceed to rinse the cabbage thoroughly under cold water. The goal is to remove all the salt and give the cabbage a final cleaning. This ensures any lingering dirt is washed away. I typically rinse it 3 times in cold water, but once clean, strain the cabbage. It's crucial to also eliminate most of the water so that the kimchi seasoning doesn't get diluted. As the cabbages are drying over the strainer, let's get the green onions ready. Wash them thoroughly under cold water. Now proceed to cut the green parts of the green onion into 2-inch chunks, ensuring they are similar in size to the cabbage pieces. Next, quarter half an onion and toss it into the food processor. Following that, toss a handful of garlic into the mincer along with a sliver of ginger. Lastly, add 1/4 cup of fish sauce to the mincer. Then mince until everything transforms into a paste. Just a heads up, the aroma from the mixture of fish sauce and garlic is quite intense, but that's precisely where all the flavor comes from. Wipe down the bowl where you've stored the cabbage with a clean cloth. Remember, any water on the cabbage or in the bowl could dilute the seasoning, so keeping it dry is key. Once sufficiently dried, add the sweet rice powder goop. Then add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Next up, add your long slivers of radishes. And after that, your fish sauce garlic mixture. Scrape all of it out because that is where all the umami and flavor comes from. And once that is done, add your cabbage and green onions. Finally, add 1/4 cup of Korean red pepper flakes. This will make it that iconic red color. And with that, mix it up. You gradually see that red color develop. Actually, now thinking about it, mix it till it turns bright red. I guess that is the measure for when it is sufficiently mixed. So, was making kimchi really worth it? It literally took half a day with multiple different side preparations, but if you don't live in Korea and have a limited selection of kimchi, the best way to get quote-unquote real tasting kimchi like the ones you find in Korea is making it at home. So enjoy and have fun.